Hi everyone, John from LookSmart Home Inspections here in New Jersey, performing great home inspections throughout the state of New Jersey. So on today's video, I'm going to do a little bit something different. Today's video is just about the defects that we saw recently in homes that we're inspecting in New Jersey. And hopefully you guys can learn a little bit about some of the defects that we see all the time in houses that we inspect, and maybe you can use that to learn a little bit more about the homes that you're thinking about buying. So without further ado, let's take a look at some of these defects. Here's a bit of an interesting one. So I'm on this rooftop looking at this chimney, and we have a lot of gaps and openings here, here. Our cap needs work. We have gaps where the liner meets the cap, cracks here. So the top of this chimney does need work. But what's interesting is the top of the chimney actually has shifted. I'm not sure if you can see it, but under here, we see that the top of this chimney, the few courses going up, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 courses have actually rotated this way. And I think the reason for this problem is that we have an antenna here, right? So this antenna is going to catch the wind over time. And if there's deterioration of the mortar joints here, that antenna is going to push on that chimney. And that's what I believe caused this rotation of the chimney this way. Interesting problem, has to be corrected. This is a heating chimney, heating flue. And so chimney work is going to definitely be needed here. And of course, this antenna is going to have to be removed. So I'm at the front of this house and I see what appears to be a vent, standard vent. But if we look in here, we're going to see that this floor is about 2 inches from a dirt crawl space right here, right? So look at this half-assed vapor barrier we have here. Look at this very thin plastic. We have wood framing that's almost touching this dirt floor. Moisture is just going to come up. It's going to cause mold under this flooring at the front of the house. So this situation is basically a disaster. This is a very big deal. So we're going to have to, bring this to light to the customer, and then she's going to have to make a decision whether she wants to move forward with this type of thing. So here we have an electric meter that's pulling away from the structure of the home. You can see I can stick my hand right behind the meter, and all of this wall material, you can see all these ants running out as well. There's an ant nest in here. It's not carpenter ants, but these pavement ants. There's millions of them here. But this is going to have to be corrected because there's really no meat or no structure to secure this electric meter to the home anymore. So definitely a fix. Okay, so we're in the basement of this house, and look what we have here. So we have a return here, and then look over here. We have a natural draft combustion appliance, which is the water heater, right? So this return can actually pull out the exhaust gases from here, run them through this return, through the ductwork, and up and around, the interior of this house, which is an unsafe condition. We don't want to see a return this close to this type of combustion appliance, because it can actually take the exhaust gases and distribute them through the house. No bueno. Here we're looking at some knob and tube electrical wiring, and I know it's knob and tube because it's run through these ceramic knobs here, has no ground wire, and this is super brittle, it's obsolete. And most insurance companies now are going to require this to be replaced because it is a fire hazard. I use an inductive tester on this, and it is still live, unfortunately. So they're going to have to get an electrical contractor in here to replace the knob and tube wiring in the home. So I'm looking at this relatively new boiler, and you can see here that we have this flexible yellow appliance connector that's run through the boiler cabinet right here. So I'm not supposed to have this type of connector running through this metal cabinet. This has to be a rigid black pipe, gas pipe running through here, and then you can use your flexible yellow connector through here. So this is a telltale sign of an amateur installation. So we're going to ask the customer to make sure they get the permits for the installation of this boiler, just to make sure the town approved this, which I highly doubt they did. So we're in the basement of this house, and as we move closer to the columns, we can see that there's some rusting going on here, and all of these watermarks down the column here. So what happens is water actually wicks up from the basement floor, goes up here, there's capillary action, and can come out and weep out areas like this. And sometimes we'll look at a column like this and it'll be completely split. So this one isn't split, but it's something that I'm gonna have to tell our client about. And if we go over here, there's another one here. And we can see the same problem exists here with this rusting and the water and rust stains that go all the way down. So these are kind of a near-term replace situation. They don't have to be replaced right away, but this is something definitely you want to keep your radar on. And if you're buying a house and you see columns like this, you're going to need to replace them pretty soon. So often in houses, we see here that Teflon tape has been improperly used at these gas pipe connections. This white tape is actually to join plumbing pipes, water supply pipes, and not gas supply pipes. So this should actually be a pipe joint compound, or a similar tape, but that is actually yellow in color. So this is a chance for leaks to occur in this piping, and that should be replaced by a plumbing contractor. So this boiler I'm looking at right now is probably 35 years old. And I open the boiler cabinet, and down here, what do we see? Look at this. We see some rags down here. So then I'm have to think to myself, well, why are there rags at the bottom of the boiler? Most likely because the boiler block is leaking. We can see these water stains right in between the two sections of the boiler block. They're running down here. So this boiler is probably a replacement. So home inspectors, make sure you open that boiler cabinet and check things out. So here's a good one here. 1, 2, 3, 4 rafters have been cut in order to accommodate this garage door opening device here and this spring. So can't cut framing members like this. This has to be corrected. No good. So I want to show you guys something. This right here is a lead main water line. And I know that for a couple reasons. Number one, it has this egg-shaped solder joint right there. It's called a solder ball, where the lead meets the interior piping. And then if we follow this down here, what I did is I scraped out a little bit of this paint or sealant that they have, and it's easy to scratch. So you can see that lead is easy to scratch. I just took a screwdriver very gently and scratched it, so I know that this is a main lead pipe, and that's gonna most likely have to come out for safety reasons, because we don't want to be drinking lead contaminated water in this house. So at the left rear corner of this house, we see this electrical wire installed right here, and this is metal exterior siding. So we shouldn't have this Romex wire tucked into this metal siding and attached to this metal siding, because if this wire were to chafe anywhere along its way, it can electrify the entire siding on the exterior of this house, causing a significant safety hazard. So this problem should be fixed by an electrical contractor. One of the things we look at as home inspectors is just general safety issues. So if we see this burner and these two burners right here, how close they are to the wall and to this trim, and if we come over here, we can put this window blind down. So if that blind is down here, you can see where that would be a significant fire hazard. So this range has to have some kind of protective material along here, or the range has to be relocated because this is a fire hazard. So I'm inspecting this home, and the owner of the home tells me that the basement never had any water entry in the basement, right? Completely dry basement. But look what we have here, right? We have a water stain on the bottom of this shelving unit. We have a large water stain on the bottom of this bench. And if we move over here, right? Here's another shelving unit in the basement with a water stain, right? And if we kind of zoom over here, we see another light water stain. So we definitely had water in this basement. So when you guys are purchasing homes, definitely keep your eyes open for this type of thing. And if we move over here, slowly move over here, and then look at this water stain right over here. So this is a water stain. It's high off the basement floor. That's probably 6 inches of water. And so we do not have a dry basement. We've definitely had a basement that has had water entry or flooding in the past. So make sure you look for that. So I just pulled up to this house and I want to show you guys something. So when you guys are looking at houses and you see something like this raised area of the walkway in a house that you're buying, this is your problem once you purchase this house in most municipalities. So this is likely to be a problem with the insurance company and obviously a tripping hazard. So this for sure is going to have to be corrected. This chimney here is covered with roofing cement. So when we come to a house and we see a chimney that was a brick chimney covered with roofing cement, we know that there's going to be an underlying problem to this chimney. So people do this as sort of a stopgap measure. They smear this tar or sealant on the chimney rather than having a proper tuck pointing or rebuilding from the roof line on up. So this is an issue. When you have roofing tar on a chimney, the bricks can't breathe. So we're actually causing more damage because moisture inside the brick gets locked in. So this is going to be a problem and a fix for a chimney professional. So I just pull up to this house and one of the first things I see right here in the front yard is this oil tank fill pipe, right? So we know that we probably, not probably, but we have a very high probability of an oil tank being installed below ground here at the front of this house. So this is important for the customer to know. Environmental issues are very expensive to correct. And so this is likely, there's a tank here that's likely to have to come out of the ground. It's going to be a little bit expensive, especially if there's any environmental damage. So here we see this very wide chimney. So water is going to run down the roof here. There should be a cricket or diverter flashing right here to divert the water from the left and the right side of the chimney, but there's nothing here. So our water is just going to stagnate right there. We go into the house, we're going to have to be looking for any kind of water penetration around the base of this chimney because there's no cricket here. This is wider than 30 inches, so it does require a diverter or a cricket flashing in this area. Holy cow, look at this. So I'm in the basement and I hear what I think is water running, and then we have this toilet in the basement, but look how they left it. They just left it leaking like this. So water is just pouring out of this supply valve right here, and it's just running all over the place in this tiny bathroom. And if we take a look at this wall, we have a mold here, a thick mold right here, black mold. That's probably a mold called Stachybotrys. And this is most likely a highly toxic mold. So this has to be immediately corrected. So this is a metal garage roof, and we see here a large puddle of water. We have another puddle of water here. This one is right on a seam that goes right through the center of this garage roof. So this is highly unlikely that this roof is going to be watertight, and we'll take a look inside the garage too, just to confirm that. But we never want to see this type of water collection on an almost flat roof or low sloped roof, because this is just going to cause problems under the roof. This is not going to be watertight. Another thing we look at as home inspectors is that a range should be tied into the floor. So there's a bracket that should be installed to prevent a range from tipping forward. So you can see here that the range just easily tips forward. And you can look for that bracket information usually on the door. So here it is here, indicating that this manufacturer requires that bracket to be installed to prevent a tip over hazard, but it is not installed here. So safety issue, and that should be corrected. So I'm just looking at this house here, and whenever we have a patio like this, a neutral patio with a wall here and a wall back here, we have to be looking for water seepage against this foundation wall right here, this rear foundation wall. Because when we have a patio like this, water is not really going to drain away properly. It's just going to stagnate and stay close to this foundation wall. So we have to pay particular attention at the back of this property to see if we have any water seepage problems. So I'm still in the same backyard, and we can see here that the grade is going to drive our water all the way down to this patio and retaining wall. So it's really important that we're going to check this wall right here for seepage problems in the basement. And I bet you anything that we're going to find a lot of seepage and water infiltration here, because of the slope of this patio is negative, and the slope of this grade is going to drive all that water down to the patio area and retaining wall. So remember, everybody, when you have a hole through your wall, you can fill it with a Solo cup and bubble wrap. So this is obviously incorrect. There should be a flashing right here where this lower roof meets the structure of the home. I should see a metal flashing right here, but what I do see is just this caulk or tar that's getting brittle, and we see this gap or crack opening up here. Water is going to enter, make its way into the wall cavity or downstairs. So we definitely need a proper flashing treatment on this lower wall and roof intersection. This is a waste pipe right here from a washer that's upstairs, but we can see this waste pipe doesn't have any slope. It doesn't have any pitch. So water is just going to stagnate in this waste pipe right here. So this has to be corrected by a plumbing contractor. All waste pipes should have a nice gentle slope downward into the main waste line, so water doesn't collect right in here and possibly back up upstairs. You can see these basement steps as we're down here on the stair landing, but all these gaps and openings here and in between the stairs and the backs have to be covered just so we don't create a tripping hazard. Somebody gets a leg caught in there, trips down or up the stairs. So this has to be corrected for safety. This is a storage room in an old basement, and we had a door that's shut, and we have this kind of thing going on here. So this black material here is probably a mold called Cladosporium, and this is the perfect environment for this type of mold to grow because it's hot, it's moist, it's enclosed, there's little or no air movement in the space. So this is something that our client would probably want to get looked at. We don't want to have this nasty mold in the house. And back down here, you can see some more growing on this interior wood wall that we have here. So it's unlikely this room is going to be watertight, just as the other parts of the basement are not watertight. So this is something that has to be addressed, no doubt. Wow, thank you for staying with me this whole video. I certainly appreciate it. I really enjoy making these videos, and hopefully you get something out of it. So remember, when you're looking at these real expensive New Jersey homes, stay empowered and keep your eyes open.